Hello friends, this is Sanjay Arora from New Delhi, India. I welcome all of you to my YouTube channel Legally Determined. Today we would dwell on what supply is under Section 7 of the Central Goods and Services Tax Act 2017. Question 1. What is supply under GST and its elements? Illustrate. Answer. The definition of supply is a very wide definition, and Section 7 of the Central Goods and Services Tax Act 2017 defines supply as follows. A. All forms of supply of goods or services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, rental, lease, or disposal, made or agreed to be made for a consideration by a person in the course or furtherance of business. The term agreed to be made would make the supply taxable as per the time of supply and not before that. Supply has two important elements. First, supply is done for a consideration. Second, supply is done in course or furtherance of business. Illustrations. Mr. X buys a car for 10 lakh rupees for his personal use and sells it off after 7 months of use to a dealer. This is not considered as supply under CGST as this is not done by Mr. X for the furtherance of business. Illustration B. Mr. P provides free coaching to neighboring students as a hobby. This is not considered supply as this is not considered as supply as this act is not performed for a consideration. The words in the course of business defined by businessdictionary.com are as follows. Daily or regular routine peculiar to a firm or trade involving purchase, production and sale of usual goods and or services and payment and receipt of money. Businessdictionary.com defines furtherance as follows. Furtherance is the act of helping or an advancement, preposition for the sake of, in favor of, in the name of, in the service of, on account of, on behalf of. Thus, in the course or furtherance of business includes all such activities which are being carried out by any person during the course of running of business and also activities which would further the interest of business. The following conditions need to be satisfied for the purpose of import of service being treated as supply under GST. First, import of service should be for a consideration. Second, it is not necessary that the import of services should be made in the course or furtherance of business. Third, import of services for personal use with consideration would also be covered under the definition of supply. The activities specified in Schedule First to the GST made or agreed to be made without consideration. A. Permanent transfer or disposal of business assets without consideration to any person where input tax credit has been availed on such assets. This is a dim provision. The term permanent transfer or disposal would mean any act on behalf of owner or holder of the business asset. The term permanent transfer or disposal would not include any instance wherein asset has been destroyed by any natural act. Further, it would not include any temporary handing over of business asset to any person. The supply of goods or services or both between related person or between distinct person as specified in section 25 when made in the course or furtherance of business. The first condition is whether supply of goods or services or both has taken place between related person or distinct persons without consideration. The second condition is whether supply of goods or services in the course or furtherance of business. If both the conditions are satisfied, such supply is covered under Schedule 1 to the GST. To the CGST Act 2017, if both the conditions are not satisfied, such supply is not covered under this schedule to the GST. However, gifts not exceeding 50,000 rupees in value in a financial year by an employer to an employee shall not be treated as supply of goods or services or both. Instances are as follows. First, supply of goods between one branch situated in Rajasthan and another branch situated in Gujarat of the same person. Second, services provided by a supplier to any related person in the course or furtherance of business. Definition of distinct person as per provisions of section 25 subsection 4 of the CGST Act 2017. Condition 1. A person who has obtained or is required to obtain more than one registration. Condition 2. Such multiple registrations may have been obtained or would have been required to be obtained in one state or union territory or more than one state or union territory. Case study 1. X is a registered person in Gujarat and has obtained two separate registrations in Gujarat in respect of multiple business verticals. The two separate registrations obtained in Gujarat would be deemed to be distinct persons for the purpose of this Act. Case study 2. X is making taxable supply from Gujarat and Rajasthan, and his aggregate turnover in respect of his PAN is more than the threshold limit prescribed under the law. He would be required under the law to obtain registrations both in Gujarat and Rajasthan. The registration obtained in Gujarat and Rajasthan would be deemed to be distinct persons for the purpose of this Act. Second, establishment of a person in another state or union territory is treated as distinct person in GST even though such establishment is not registered in that state or union territory. The supply or receipt of goods by an agent on behalf of the principal. First, supply of goods by an agent on behalf of principal. Second, receipt of goods by an agent on behalf of principal. The fact that agent represents principal in the transaction before the third party tantamounts to a consequential transaction between the principal and the agent. This consequential transaction between the agent and the principal is sought to be taxed by Schedule 1 to the GST. Supply of goods by the principal to his agent would be deemed as a supply wherein agent undertakes to supply such goods on behalf of principal to the third party. Supply of goods by an agent to his principal would be deemed as a supply wherein agent undertakes to receive such goods on behalf of principal from the third party. The import of services by a taxable person from a related person or from any of his other establishment outside India would without any consideration in the course or furtherance of business. D. The activities to be treated as supply of goods or services as referred to in Schedule 2 to the CGST Act 2017. Activities which are neither treated as supply of goods nor supply of services. Schedule 3rd to CGST Act 2017 specifies which transactions would neither be treated as supply of goods nor as supply of service. Situation 1. Services rendered by an employee to the employer. Such services should be in the course of or in relation to his employment. Situation 2. Services rendered by any court or tribunal. Such court or tribunal shall be established under any law for the time being in force. Situation 3. Functions performed by the MP, Member of Parliament, B. Member of State Legislature, third, Members of Panchayats, D. Members of Municipalities, E. Members of other local authorities. Situation 4. Duties performed by any person who holds any post in pursuance of the provisions of this Constitution in that capacity. Situation 5. Duties performed by any person as a chairperson or a member. B. Director in a body established by the central government or a state government or local authority. C. Who is not deemed as an employee before the commencement of this clause. Situation 6. Services of funeral, burial, crematorium, mortuary, including transportation of the deceased. Situation 7. Sale of land, sale of building, subject to clause B of paragraph 5 of Schedule 2nd. Situation 8. Actionable claims other than lottery, betting, and gambling. Free supplies in cases other than the ones mentioned would not be treated as supply and tax will be charged only on the total consideration charged for such supply. However, there would be reversal of input tax credit under Section 17, subsection 5 on free samples or gifts given. Perks being provided to the employee would be out of purview of GST provided GST has been paid by the employer. However, if facilities are being provided to the employees free of cost, then such services would be treated as supply and would be liable to be taxed subject to the provisions of Schedule 1 to the GST. I have made a flowchart. I have made a flowchart of what has been studied so far in this video, and here I would like to sign off. As you break a leg, please like, share, subscribe to my channel. Legally determined many money. Thanks to you for watching my video. Thank you.